I fear I have a story time that's been brewing for years now, and I'm finally ready to tell it because this was the most insane first date I have ever gone on. So we'll start off. I matched with Homeboy on Hinge probably like 2.5 years ago. Yeah, he looked pretty fine. His profile was cool. He's like an anime illustrator and all of that. We had great conversation. He invited me out to a cabaret. One thing about me is I love the idea of a cabaret, never been to a cabaret. So the fact that he invited me to one, I was like, take my money. I'll pay for my ticket. Take me to the cabaret. I would love to see a cabaret in person. Fast forward to the date. He tells me where to meet him. I meet him there. I get there and I cannot find this man. And then I see someone that kind of resembles him, but I'm like, that's not him. Because in his profile pictures, he had a full-on beard. And this doesn't even look like a man. Turns out that was him. He shaved the beard off. Word of advice, if your pictures have you in only a beard, show up to the date with your beard. Maybe. Nonetheless, I get there. I'm dressed like a grown woman and he's dressed normal, but the beard being gone, he just looks like a 15-year-old boy and I look like a grown woman. I look like I'm grooming this man, even though he's older than me. I digress. We get there. He's like, oh, I didn't realize I needed tickets for this thing. So we are going to be in general admission line. I don't mind standing in line. That didn't bother me. I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, let's just stand in line and wait. I have like social anxiety a little bit, so I don't like when people know that I'm on a first date. But this man is talking so loud. He's like, oh my God, I can't believe we're on our first date. I'm so excited to be on our first date. And people are looking at us and I'm just like, oh my God, shut the up. Finally, we get inside. We go to the bar. He's like, oh, do you want a drink? And I'm like, yeah. Can I get an espresso martini with tequila? He gets me my espresso martini. He gets himself a drink. Did not hear what he ordered. We cheers. We're drinking, yada, yada. We both finish our drink. He asks me if I want another one. And I'm like, yeah, why not? So he gets me another one and he gets himself an espresso martini with tequila as well. The drink he had before was more like I want to say mango-y, or it was orange colored. So it was fruity. That's not a bad thing though. So he goes to go take a sip of his espresso martini and this man looks like he's in pain. Dire pain. I was like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I don't really drink. And I was like, so why'd you get an espresso martini? What did you drink before? He was like, oh, that was a mocktail. I was like, so why didn't you get another mocktail? He's like, because you're drinking. And I was like, listen, buddy, no peer pressure here. If you don't drink, you don't drink. You do not have to drink because I'm drinking. That's not going to bother me. If you want to have a mocktail or even if you just want a glass of juice, drink your glass of juice. I'm having my espresso martini. But don't put yourself through this pain if you don't want to. And he's like, okay, you want the rest? So he gives me the rest of his espresso martini. Cabaret's good and well, whatever. We leave. He's like, are you hungry? I'm like, oh, yeah, actually. Let's go get food. So we go to dinner. We're sitting at dinner. Dinner is fine. It's towards the end of dinner that we're talking and I'm telling him, like, I forget what story I'm telling him, but I'm telling him a story. And as you can tell from this story, I use my hands to talk. And homeboy, as I'm talking, he's like, and reaches for my hands and like clasps my hands. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I just wanted to hold hands while we talk. And I was like, I'm using them. He's like, oh, but I just thought it would be romantic. I was like, I get it. But like, I'm literally telling you a story with my hands. I don't want to do that. And he's like, okay. So then the restaurant is closing. The waiter comes over to give us the bill, basically. He gives him the bill. And as he gives him the bill, he goes to reach out of his pocket to get his wallet. And I don't know if these were thoughts that were supposed to happen in here, but they were happening out here. He goes, I hope I have enough. I hope I have enough. I hope I have enough. And I'm sitting there like this. I'm looking at the waiter. The waiter's looking at me. And I'm just like, I might need to pull out my wallet. Gives the man his credit card. Thank God the man had enough. He's like, oh, do you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, actually, I think it's time for me to go home. He's like, can I walk you to the train? Train's like 15 minutes away. Yeah, sure, why not? Walk me to the train. So we start walking to the train, and he's like, I have a question to ask you. And I'm like, sure, what's up? He's like, I'm just a little too embarrassed to ask you this question. And I was like, what do you mean? Just ask the question. And he's like, can I kiss you? And I was like, no. He's like, okay. So we keep walking, we're talking, yada, yada. Then at this point, I really need to use the bathroom. So we're walking by a bar and I'm like, it's either I go into this bar and use the bathroom now or I get on the train and have to hold it for like an hour before I get home. So I'm like, I'm just going to go to this bar. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to run in there so I can use the bathroom. He's like, okay. So I run in. There's 2 bathrooms. I don't know if this part of the story is relevant, but there's 2 bathrooms. I go into one. The other one is open. He doesn't go in. I come out of the bathroom and he goes into the bathroom that I was in. I was like, there was a whole second bathroom you could have used. But while he's using the bathroom, I'm like, I can't believe this is what's happening right now. So let me just grab another drink. So I get another drink and I'm going to down it pretty quickly. And I'm signing to pay for my drink. He comes out and they're like playing jazz music. And all of a sudden in the corner of my eye, as I'm like this, signing my check, I see in the corner of my eye, this. Like he is breakdancing in a jazz club. I was like, this cannot be real. So I chug my drink and I'm like, okay, let's go. We're like 2 minutes from the train now. He says, oh, can I kiss you on the cheek? No, before that, he asked me, he's like, can I ask you another question? And I'm like, yeah, go ahead. He's like, no, I'm too embarrassed. I don't want to ask. And I'm like, man, if you don't ask this damn question. He's like, it's the same question as before. Can I kiss you? And I was like, no, the answer is still no. And he was like, can I kiss you on the cheek? And I was like, you know what? Fine. Kiss me on the cheek. I lied. Something happened before that. He asked if he could hold my hand and I already felt bad for the guy. So I was like, yeah, go ahead. Hold my hand. We don't even like interlock fingers. We hold our hands like this, like friends hold hands. And as soon as our hands clasp, he goes with the other hand. I said, oh, am I this man's first bad bitch? Never be a man's first bad bitch. Anyways, so then fast forward, that thing happens where he asks about the kiss and then he asks to kiss me on the cheek. And I say, yes, you can kiss me on the cheek because we're at the train now and it's time for me to go home. And I like turn my cheek so he can plant one right there. And he like swivels his head to go kiss me on the lips. And what are you doing? He goes, and I quote, I thought you'd be drunk enough that you wouldn't care. I looked at him in such distress, disgust, and fear. And I said, you should probably never say that to a woman again. And at this moment, I'm getting on that train and leaving. Please don't get on the train with me. I don't care if we're going in the same direction. Wait for the next train. Never speak to me again. And I proceeded to get on the train and go home. So that was my horror story of a first date like 2.5 years ago. I did run into him at like a street festival and I saw him and I was like, oh my God, I have to act like I don't see him. And I was looking at waist beads and he came up and he's like, Carly, hey, Carly. And I just ignored him like my life depended on it because it did. I ignored the shit out of him until he walked away. And I was just like, and then my friend came over and I was like, oh my God, that was him. And that was the day that I realized I'm just too nice to men, even when they make me uncomfortable.
He was like, no, it's a compliment. Right. I'll go. Story time. So some time ago, I went on a date. So we go out, we have dinner, we're talking. He says a few things that weren't really funny. I laugh anyways. It's the first date. We're both nervous. At one point, he asked if the shoes that I was wearing were comfortable. And I said, yeah, they're fine. They feel fine. He was like, okay, just asking, because sometimes I feel like women do the most. Again, I'm just thinking, look, it's the first date. We're both a little nervous. He's probably just saying things that sounded a little different up here, right? Even though it was springtime, it was still that weird sort of space in the season where it's nice during the day but chilly at night. I brought a sweater, right? And I guess he didn't see it. So he was like, did you bring a jacket or a sweater with you? And so I reach on my side because it's hanging over my purse and I pulled it and I was like, yeah, I have a sweater with me. And he was like, oh, okay, cool. Because sometimes it gets a little awkward when I have to tell the girl that I'm with that I'm not giving her my jacket. So at this point, I'm kind of just sporting an awkward smile. In fact, what I am thinking is, what can I say to this man to leave? So when it comes time to pay, right, I'm reaching in my purse. I had a little small, like, magnifying mirror, like you hold it up and you can see everything like significantly closer and like non-blurred. And I wanted to see if I had food in my teeth, okay? And I guess he thought I was reaching for my wallet. So he's like, no, 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 please, I got it. Don't worry about it. I wasn't going to correct him. I was like, oh, thank you. You know what I'm saying? So that actually kind of made me think, well, maybe it is awkwardness. Maybe he's just saying weird shit because he's nervous. I'm just going back to that same shit. So where we're sitting out to eat, where the place is that we went to dinner, it's in the same shopping center as where the movie theater is. So we're just walking over to the theater. And so we get there, the movie starts, things are going well. There was a cute scene and it kind of felt like, oh, this is a good point for us to like connect a little. I don't know. So I put my head on his shoulder. When the lights come on, I don't like immediately move. And so he kind of like tilts his head down at me a little bit. He's a tall guy with my head on his shoulder. And then I'm like getting like I'm about to lean up, and I feel like, well, maybe he's about to try to make a move. So we're making eye contact and we're close to one another's face, and I see him looking at my lips, and then he says, this is my first time seeing a mustache on a woman and not being repulsed. I said, okay, I'm ready to go. Yeah, you don't even have to take me home. I'll go. He was like, no, it's a compliment. Right. I'll go.
No, Islanders family, I don't know who told him that was a compliment because, sir, come here, you need some etiquette class. First, you questioned her shoes. Then you pre-declined giving her your jacket. Then you looked this woman dead in her face in 4K after eye contact after the movie, and you really said that? No. So you see, this is what I mean when I say that some people really do sabotage their own dates. And the crazy part is that she kept giving him grace. She kept saying that maybe he's nervous, maybe he doesn't mean it like that. How many of us have done that? Where you're sitting there internalizing everything and you're like, okay, abort mission. But externally, you're there sitting, smiling politely because you're trying to be mature. Yeah, me could talk about it. And guys, can we talk about the jacket comment just for a little second right here? Because why are you announcing in advance that you will not be generous? That is not good table manners, sir. And nobody asked you for your jacket to begin with. You pre-rejected a scenario that did not even exist. And then what we all have been waiting for, the mustache line. We can't get over it. Islanders family, I need you to comment down below immediately. Now, this is a quiz. Is it A, social awkwardness, B, negging, C, lack of home training, or D, all of the above? Comment your answers down below because I am not even mad at this point. I am just confused.
Y'all ever ruin a first date so bad you actually consider moving to a different city? Yeah, that was me the other night. I thought I was going to have the smoothest first date ever, and I promised myself to stay cool, calm, and collected. I show up about 20 minutes early trying to be responsible, and all that did was lead me to sit there and overthink the entire time. The hostess asked me if I was waiting on somebody, and I said, oh no, I like to eat alone with two menus sometimes. Now, I promise you, this was meant to be a joke, but the tone, it just did not match, and I felt so bad. So it was at that moment where I knew I was in rare form that night, and it was not going to go my favor whatsoever. She finally arrives, and I swear the restaurant lights hit her like she had her own spotlight. Just gorgeous girl. Boys, don't be sleeping on these goth baddies. I swear to God, you're missing out. So I go to stand up all confidently just to go ahead and greet her, and I almost trip over my chair. And then I somehow manage to kick the table leg so hard, it makes a silverware on the table jump. And then I go in for a hug, and then we end up doing that awkward little side, left to right little shuffle thing, and we end up colliding shoulders. We sit down, and then the waiter asks us about drinks. I said, hey, I'll take a Coke. Except I said it in a fake deep voice, and then immediately went back to normal again. She laughs politely, but I can immediately tell she's rethinking all of her life's choices that led her up to this moment. So I try a little small talk, ask her how her day was. She goes, mine was good. How was yours? And I said, yeah, mine was pretty good too. Except I cried a little, which was meant to be a joke, but she just sits there silently looking at me. So I backpedal and I say, hey, tears of joy from allergies. So I reach into the bread basket and I try to like break it off smoothly and dip it in some butter. So the bread was actually as hard as concrete. So when I broke it, a piece of bread flew out across the table and hit her in the shoulder. And not to mention, there was a little bit of butter right here on her shirt. It stayed there the entire date. She didn't see it, and I didn't say anything about it. So we order our main course, and I go to compliment her. I went to say, "You look great tonight." But instead, I said, "You look great tonight." Now she's just staring at me, so I panic a little bit. I sip my drink, sip a little too hard, and I start to choke on a little piece of ice. Moving on, she asked me what kind of movies that I like, and I said, anything with subtitles, because I like to pretend that I know how to read. Guys, it was a joke. But no laugh, just pure silence. So I sip my drink again, spill it down my shirt. Food makes it to the table. I try to cut my steak. Knife slips. I fling a piece of my steak, lands right next to her. At this point, I'm severely apologetic. I apologize like 6 or 7 times till she finally says, "Dude, seriously, it's fine." Now, you would think, with my mishap with the beverage, I wouldn't even touch it. But then I try to recover by doing a toast. And how did that go, you ask? Well, I go to raise my glass, and then a salt shaker lands on the table, and it rolls, hits her in the lap. She laughs awkwardly. I laugh too hard. Now almost everybody in the restaurant, well, in our section, starts staring. Oh, God. Then she asked me about my hobbies, and I go, well, I like to microwave leftovers. This poor girl is trying so hard to be polite, but I knew I fumbled so hard and there was no way for me to recover. So we're finally done eating. We go to leave, walk into her car, so I try to, say a smooth goodnight line. And all I could say was, "Thank you for surviving me tonight." I lean in, not sure if it's for like a hug or a handshake, and we both end up leaning the same way. Then we bump foreheads. Oh my God. And all I could say was, wow. You headbutt like a champ. It was meant to be funny, but it wasn't. She laughs politely, power walks to her car, and I'm just sitting there waving like way too long, like I'm trying to flag down and direct an airplane. I was too embarrassed to send like a follow-up text or even contact her again because everything just went completely down the drain for me there. It was like Final Destination, but instead of somebody perishing, it was just like a series of unfortunate and really awkward events that I just could not recover from to save my life. So in some weird fashion, if she ends up seeing this, I do genuinely apologize.
I am not even going to lie. I felt so bad for him because this wasn't arrogance. This wasn't like disrespect or indifference that we saw in the clip before this. This was just catastrophic awkwardness. We're gonna patent that line because it's like his brain and his mouth were on 2 different Wi-Fi, like 2 worlds apart. You taste, you look great. Come on. The bread flying, what else? The butter on her shirt, that deep fake voice, crying from allergies and microwaving leftovers as your hobby. It just kept escalating. At one point I'm saying just stop. And the worst part is that you can tell that he knew he was going downhill and he could not stop it. I don't know why, but he kept going. And that's the kind of date where you replay in your head at 2 a.m. over and over while you're staring at the ceiling and be like, okay, why am I like this? If you've been on this channel, you know that we don't usually get a lot of men admitting to fumbling this hard. So I respect his vulnerability, but Islanders family, be honest. If you were that girl and he called you asking you out for a second date, would you accept it? Or are you definitely telling the group chat about him immediately? Because I don't know if that was endearing or if it is a sign that he needs a rehearsal dinner before every first date.
If you think your dating life is bad, let me tell you a story. Okay, let me tell you a story. See that back there? That's a suitcase. On Monday, I drove 3.5 hours to go visit a guy because he's in the army and he just never could come visit me. Whatever. So I drive out there to go spend time with him and be close that I can see him every day for 5 days. I come over. He makes me dinner the first night. Burnt the dinner to a crisp. Nothing against it. Most men can't cook. Not surprised. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to make dinner tomorrow night. So tomorrow, the next day, I just go drive around and I go grocery shopping and I get like $30 worth of groceries to make like a chicken garlic parm dinner. I go back to his place. For 2 hours, I am cooking so that the house smells good when he gets home and that he has something hot and ready to eat when he gets home. So I make this dinner. I prepare it. It's in the oven. He doesn't want to eat when he gets home right away, which, like, whatever. He's like, I'm going to go work out and then I'm going to eat. And I was like, cool. So he goes and works out. He comes out and we eat dinner. Does not say thank you for cooking the food. He does not say thank you for buying the food. And he doesn't even really compliment. He was just like, at the end, it was like, oh, it was good. That was it. And so then I do the dishes and I clean up. He kind of piddles in there a little bit and like dries and puts away the dishes. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he had a long day at work. You know what? I have no idea. He's in the Army. Who knows? Who knows what kind of day he had? So I was like, okay, I'll try again tomorrow. So the next day I go out and I get more groceries. I buy the groceries. I go back and I make dinner. He comes home a little early and he goes straight to his bedroom. Straight to his bedroom. And I'm like, okay. So I wait an hour and a half and I'm like, well, he's still not out here. So I'm going to make dinner and eat because I'm hungry. And it's like 6:30 at the time. And I was like, okay, I'm making dinner. So I make a quesadilla for me. I make extra and put it in the microwave for him. He comes out like 45 minutes later after I finish eating. I've already washed my dish and put it away. And I'm just sitting on the couch talking to a friend. He literally, I was like, hey, dinner, I made dinner, it's in the microwave for you. And he was like, cool. Goes in, grabs it, literally walks right back to his bedroom. Right back to his bedroom and sits in there and eats the quesadillas that I made by himself. And I know I'm really worked up about it because right now it is 10:30 at night and I am going home a day early because I'm not doing this. I'm going to be home at 1 a.m. I don't care. So he comes back out and I was like, so what'd you think of it? And he was like, it was good. Tasted like an actual quesadilla. It tasted like an actual quesadilla because it was an actual quesadilla, okay? It was an actual quesadilla. I was like, okay, whatever. It's fine. I'm not making dinner tomorrow night. I'm just not doing it. I'm not spending more money on this ungrateful man. So he comes back from work and he's like, hey, what you been doing? You just been chilling today? I'm like, yep, just been chilling. Calling people back home, they're checking in on me, whatever. And he was like, okay, I didn't know if you made dinner or anything. I'm like, no. I made dinner. No, I did not. So I was like, do you want to watch a movie tonight? And he was like, well, I think I'm going to just work out and make some dinner. And I was like, okay, cool. So he works out, he burns something in the kitchen for dinner. And I'm literally like waiting to see if he's done and we can watch a movie. Goes back to his bedroom like a troll, like a hermit. And so I go and I sit on the couch and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch a movie. So I walk out there to go sit on the couch and select a movie. And I hear this man in his bedroom talking to another woman. And I literally have the receipts on this, but he's literally in his bedroom playing a game, talking to another woman. And like the first night that I came over, he was like, I'm going to go back and play my game. And I'm like, I wonder if he's just been talking to this chick the whole time. So I was like, I was on the phone with my friend. I said, you know what? I'm leaving. I'm going to just make up some crappy story and I'm leaving. So I packed up all my stuff. I put it by the door and I knocked on his door and I hear him, oh, hold on a second. Somebody's knocking at my door. I'm going to hang up and I'll call you back. I'm like, that somebody's me, that person that drove 3.5 hours and took time off work where she could have been earning money to spend time with you. Yeah, that's that someone. So he opens the door and I'm like, hey, my mom's having a medical emergency. She's in the ER. I gotta go home. Total lie. Super fabricated. I mean, I really should have just told him straight up that I think you're boring. I think you have no manners. And why are you talking to another girl in your bedroom? Like, while one is sitting on the couch, literally in your own home. So yeah, I am currently driving home. I am set to arrive at around 1:30 a.m. back in Mississippi. I'm so sick of dating. I'm so sick of dating because I don't know what it is about me, but I just attract the douchiest men, like the douchiest men. And this is terrible. At least I have enough self-worth, I think, to leave. I'm not going to stick around, but like at the same time, why does this keep happening? What did I do? What did I do wrong? I was never messy. I cleaned his house while he was at work. I swept the floors. I cleaned the kitchen. I cleaned the plastic he burnt off his stove the night before. I cleaned his bathroom. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm like, I might be doing too much, honestly. I might be doing too much. It's not that I'm not doing enough. But like, I'm a traditional kind of gal. Like, you open the door for me, you carry my bags, like you say thank you if I cook for you. You should want to spend time with me. Otherwise, I don't know why we're even considering dating. Like, this is just, it's bad. It's bad. Anyways, that's my rant. So if you think your dating life sucks, mine's probably worse. It's not that bad because I always get out of it, but like, this keeps happening. And this one is the worst because I actually drove here. He would not even come to visit me. He would not come to visit me first. And I drove here. I spent my gas. I spent my money on groceries. I spent my time cooking and cleaning. And yeah, this is what it has amounted to. So I blocked him, so he's hopefully not going to see this video. But if he does, dude, you got to step up your game because you suck. You are boring. You're so boring. And you need some serious manners, and I don't think you're ready to date because I don't think you know how to treat a woman, or you're just a player and a cheater. So, yeah, I'm disgusted with dating. So the next guy that takes me on a date better impress me, or I might be an old hag that lives by herself with her farm animals. I'm just like, ah! I was literally shaking when I knocked on his door and I was picking up my bag sleeve because I was like so upset. I was like, this is bad. So yeah.
Gather around while I tell you about the worst first date I've ever been on. So I matched with this guy on Bumble. He asked me out pretty quickly, which normally I like to talk for a few days just to make sure we're compatible first, but I was going through a really bad breakup and just kind of looking for a distraction, so I said okay. He had initially proposed a pretty fancy restaurant, and I said yeah, but then the day of, he texted and he was like, hey, Dave & Buster's just opened, would you rather go there instead? And I was like, absolutely. So we had planned to meet there at 6, but then at 5:30 he texted me and he was like, hey, I'm probably not going to be there until about 6:15 because I'm late getting off work. I was like, totally fine. So I'm walking out the door at 5:50 to get to the restaurant at 6:15. And he texts me as I'm walking out the door and he's like, oh, I got off work on time after all. I can still be there at 6. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to be there until 6:15. He's like, why? I was like, well, I left later because you told me you were going to get there later. And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do for 15 minutes by myself at the restaurant? And I was like, I don't know. I told him I was going to get there at 6:15 because that's what he had changed it to. So he calls me at 6:10 and he's like, am I getting stood up? And I was like, no, I said I'd be there at 6:15. Like, I'm 5 minutes away. He's like, I'll go inside and get a table. And I was like, okay, should have just gone home. Lesson learned. So he goes inside to get a table. So I get inside. He's already at the table. He has a beer in front of him and he says he's ordered 2 appetizers for us, mini quesadillas and pretzels with cheese dip. He's like, is that okay? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. He has his beer and he's like, did you want anything to drink? So I start looking over the menu and he's like, loudly, he's like, did you notice that there's no prices on this menu? I had to ask the waitress the price of every single drink on this menu and it's so expensive, you might as well just go pregame somewhere else because like this is crazy. But like, did you want a drink? And I was like, nope, just water's fine. So the appetizers come, the 2 that he picked out before I even got there. And I'm not super hungry, I'm just kind of nibbling on them. He eats most of them. And then he's like, I'm so hungry, do you care if I get an entree? And I'm like, no, of course not. And he's like, well, you should pick one for me. And I was like, okay, that's kind of cute, like, I guess. So I start looking at the menu and he's like, it has to be really low in calories because I have a 1,200 calorie per day limit that I have to stay under. And I'm like, you picked Dave & Buster's, you picked the appetizers, what? So I'm like, okay, you should get the sliders. And the waitress comes over and she's like, did you want anything else? And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna get the sliders and I'm gonna get a second beer because it's happy hour. She's like, okay. She walks off and she comes right back. And she goes, oh, happy hour is actually over, but I can still get you that beer for full price if you want. And he holds up his phone and it says 6:59. And he's like, happy hour is not over. I want the happy hour price. She's like, well, our computer says it's 7:01 and that's what we have to go off of, but did you still want that beer for full price? And he's like, no, I want you to go talk to your manager. And she's like, okay. So she leaves. I'm mortified. He's already asked her the price of every single drink and now he's doing this, but like, okay. So she comes back over and she's like, okay, I talked to the manager and he's going to go ahead and give you that happy hour price. So it'll be $1 off your beer for happy hour. And he's like, okay. And I was like, $1? It's $1 off for happy hour. And this is how you're acting. Like, it's never okay to act like this, but for $1? So while we're waiting for his sliders, we're chatting and he's like, so what do you like? What do you like to do? And I was like, I like to travel. And he's like, oh, like, where are you? Do you have a trip planned? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to Vegas in a couple weeks. And he's like, oh, like with family? And I was like, no, just by myself. And he goes, by yourself? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, that seems kind of pathetic. And I was like, no, I really like traveling by myself, actually. And he's like, well, where else have you gone by yourself? And I was like, well, I went to Disney World. And he's like, you went to Disney as an adult? And was like flabbergasted. So I was like, Okay, so what do you like to do? And he's like, well, I like to travel. And I was like, okay, to where? And he tells me the name of a lake that's like an hour away, and then gets out his phone and proceeds to show me at least, like, no joke, several hundred photos of this lake. It was just like the same picture of the lake over and over and over, and like the same picture of a fish over and over and over, like for like 15 or 20 minutes. I was like, So then he's like, does your family live here? And I'm like, yeah, my whole family's here. And he's like, yeah, me too. That's why I get paid so much more than people my age, because it pays to have a dad who owns his own company. Like, that's why I make so much money. And I was like, okay. He goes, do you have any nieces or nephews? I was like, yeah, I have 3 nephews. And he goes, how many siblings do you have? And I said, I have 1 sister. He goes, oh, so obviously she's married. And I was like, nope, she's a single mom. And he goes, 3 kids and she's a single mom. And I was like, yep, that's how life works out sometimes, I guess. And he goes, well, what does she look like? So at this point, the waitress comes over and she's got the check and she's like, did you want to buy a game card? And he's like, yeah, because it's half price game night, right? And she's like, yes, but the cards still cost the same. The games just cost half the amount. So like, you're still paying $20 for a $20 game card, but games that cost like 10 tokens will now cost 5 or whatever. And he's like, but I thought it was half price. And so she explains again, and I'm just like, oh God. So he was like, did you want to play games? And I did not know what to say. And so I was like, sure, hoping I could just like get us out of there. So I got the cheapest option, and my plan was to go to the most expensive games and just like run us out as quick as I could and dip. So one of my go-to games that costs a lot of tokens or whatever is Deal or No Deal. So I head over to Deal or No Deal and I start playing, and he's just like making these little comments the whole time I'm playing, and whatever I ended up with, he was like, oh, that's a shame you only got that amount. And I was like, okay. And he's like, well, let me show you how it's done. And I was like, it's a game of luck, but all right. So he picks a case, and the first case he picks, it's the $500,000 case. And he's like, yes. And I'm like, interesting reaction, but okay. And like, as the game is going, like the higher number he picks, the more excited, like he just keeps getting more and more excited. And so finally I'm like, you only have like the $1, the $2, and the $1 million case left. Like, why are you so excited about this? He's like, well, because the way that you play the game is by finding the $1 million case. And I was like, nope, that's not the point. That's not how you play the game. And he's like, yeah, I think I know what I'm doing. And I was like, okay. At any rate, I was able to run us out of tokens pretty quickly. Immediately was like, okay, I gotta go. No hug, no handshake, no nothing. I was just like, okay, thanks, have a good night, and left. That was like October, November, and I didn't hear from him again until February, when out of nowhere he texted me, and I deleted his number the day of the date, and he was like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, who is this? And he sends me a selfie, and he's like, it's so-and-so. I just wanted to catch up. How was Vegas? And I was just like, LOL, and blocked him. Okay, that was one of my worst first dates, but like, don't get mad at me when I show up at the time you changed it to. Get mad at me about the amount of calories in the food at the place you picked. Insult my sister, insult my hobbies, brag about how well off you are, and then mansplain Deal or No Deal to me really, really wrong. Like,
the way I would have mentally checked out the moment he complained about waiting for 15 minutes. 15. 1-5. Sir, just breathe. Then loudly announcing the drink prices like we're at a financial seminar. Why are we performing for the restaurant? Hello? But the $1 happy hour argument, yeah, like for $1. I just can't with these. I would have been sitting there like, is this my future? I would have definitely been questioning my life choices at that point. And why are you judging someone solo traveling on a first date? That's when you said, oh, that's cool, tell me more. Or just say, mind your business. You know, not that's pathetic. Gather yourself, mister. I don't think you were all that. And you know, when someone's vibe just feels heavy and slightly combative for no reason, yeah, that is just a quick turn off. I mean, the quickest way you can get me to just go quiet. And texting months later like nothing happened, the audacity is clearly undefeated. Fam, would you have tapped out at that first date? Because I am not making it past that $1 argument. Anyway, let's move on.
I went on a date that makes me never want to walk outside ever again this weekend. And I wrote down all the reasons why it was horrible. So some preface. I started talking to this guy about 2 months ago. It's going great. Really seems sweet. Had my hopes up. But none of these signs were showing beforehand, before we get started. This is just some honorable mentions. I met him at his apartment. Red flag. I don't know how to drive. But anyways, I meet him at his apartment. He has a 3-wick candle. He is only lighting 1 wick. There's 1 wick he's lighting. The other ones aren't even touched. The other wick's like all the way down. And I was like, hey, blow out your candle before we leave. Like, just a little reminder. He goes, oh, I don't blow it out. I want my room to smell good all the time. Second part. I planned the date. I want to go to a hockey game. I want to go to a hockey game. I said, let's go to a hockey game. He says, cool. Next thing I know, I realized I literally did all of it. Also, he texted me, why don't you buy the tickets? I'll pay for them. Like, just send me your Venmo and I'll Venmo you. I didn't love it, but I was like, cool, whatever. I do it. I pay for the tickets, $120. And he texted me afterwards. He's like, you know what? I'll get us dinner that night. I don't even worry about me paying you back. You get why that's wrong, right? Like, I'm the one that bought them. You can be like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm worried. So then we go ahead. I had a shitty day a couple days ago, and he sent me $50 and was like, get yourself something nice. The tickets were $120, so he paid me for less than half the tickets. But it was as a gift. It wasn't like, oh, here's the money I owe you. So there was a mix-up with the time, so basically we get there 2 hours early on accident, and we, like, walk over to Target to just go do something. He chucks his vape into the bush, and he's like, I didn't do it. That wasn't me. You didn't see anything. What? I don't freaking litter. That's your vape. An animal could eat that. Also, he kept calling me mother beep all night. I kept saying, don't call me that. Please don't call me that. That's not cool. He never referred to me by my name, nothing. And then he was like, don't I look so good tonight? He said that. And I was like, don't you think I look pretty tonight? I spent an hour getting ready. My friends all came over. We picked out my outfit. My outfit was so clean. Like, I just pulled it out of the dryer, right? He goes, oh, your pants have a little mark on them. They were brand new. They did not have a little mark on them. He kept saying he's never done anything bad in his whole life. And I told him straight up, like, 30 minutes in the day, I went, this date's going pretty bad. So we go to Target, and I'm like, why don't we get waters so we're not parched during the game because the water's going to be expensive? And he goes, no, it's fine. So I was like, fine, I'm going to get my own water. I'm going to chug it. All cool. He hands me a Red Bull, and he goes, buy this. Okay, so now we're in the game. We're sitting down, and he's ordering chicken tenders, and he's like, do you want anything? And I didn't know we were ordering food. I was like, no, because I don't want to drink. And he goes, I was like, can I have a bite of your chicken tender? He goes, no, mother. No, are you crazy? Anyways, we're going to have to do a part 2. Hold on.
I'm uncomfortable, like physically uncomfortable. Why is he lighting 1 wick of a 3-wick candle and then refuse to blow it out? That's not mysterious enough. That's a whole fire hazard, if you should ask me. And then the Venmo shuttle with the tickets. Look here, I'm stressed out. Sir, if you're paying, then just pay. Don't remix the payment plan like it's a whole group project. It's not that serious. And then throwing the vape in the bush and pretending like it didn't happen. Yeah, that's toddler behavior. You didn't see that. Oh yeah, I saw it and now I see you. And in the words of a Candy Burris, we see each other.
Okay, we good. I see. We see each other. We see each other. We good.
The part that really sent me was calling her mother B after she said, don't call me that. And he claimed to did it over and over. And that you do on the first date. So what does that tell me about who you are as a person? And then the audacity to ask if you look good tonight and then critique her outfit. Look here the man. You see why I'm so irritated? Islanders family, as I say, some of these things, they are not just awkward. It is just a weird energy, if you should ask me.
Okay, so at this point, we're ordering the food and the drinks. And I was like, hey, like, do you want to just split the chicken tenders? Because I wasn't that hungry, and I knew it was going to be expensive, so I was like, let's just split it. He goes, no, mother. In front of the waitress. And I told him in front, I was like, do not say that. That's not okay. He was like, I'll do whatever I want. I'm a grown man. Oh my God. I was like, yeah, so do you just not treat people with respect because you're a grown man? And he kept saying mother beep to me in front of people. And I was like, please stop. So anyways, now we have a guy sitting next to us who's probably in his 70s. He's there with his wife. They were great. They were very sweet. And he said something to me that just like made me very upset. And I just sat a few seats over because they were all empty. And the guy was like, oh, like, you better go apologize. And he goes, she can sit wherever she wants. I don't even care that much. What? So at this point, it's going downhill. I just want to watch a hockey game. I was like, as soon as this date's over, I'm out. I'm going home. I'm going to go have a girls' night. He keeps making comments. I keep kind of just, like, shutting him out. Like, he's talking to the guy next to us. I'm like, he's your issue now. Like, he's a problem child. I'm handing him off. It's not my issue. We were 4 rows back from the hockey penalty box. Like, we were so close. And he kept going, fight them, fight. And I was like, shut up. What are you doing? So then the chicken tenders come. And I'm eating. And I eat like half. I'm like halfway through. I'm like a tender and some fries. And I go, wow, like we could have shared. And he goes, I literally told you we could have shared. Like, I don't know why we got 2 then. He says that to me. I was amazed. So at this point, it's about halftime. They're not playing great hockey. This isn't a great date. And it's like, make some noise on like the big screen. And he yells in my ear. So I look at him and I just give him a dirty look. It wasn't even like I was trying to. It was just I was very upset. He didn't talk to me the rest of the game. Like, I think he got the message this wasn't working out. Thank God. So it's finally time to leave. And keep in mind how much I'm paying for. And he goes, I'll pay for your chicken tenders if you pay for the Uber back. Reference, he paid for the Uber there, it was $10. And I was like, fine. I just want to leave. So I order an Uber. We don't talk the rest of the night. Awkward car ride back. I get in my car. He gives me an awkward little side hug. And he was like, we could maybe do this again. And I was like, uh-huh. So after like maybe 2 hours after I get home, he sends me this photo of him giving himself a tattoo. And then pause to read this message. Yeah. And then I blocked him on literally everything. Blocked his email just in case because I forwarded him the hockey tickets. That's that.
Let me tell you about my dating horror story. I've been sitting on this for months. So I was telling this story to my friends last weekend, and they were like, you have got to make a TikTok about this. So let me just give you a story time of the last date I went on, which was this past February. I have not been on a date since because I might be slightly traumatized. So I matched with this guy on Hinge. And my friends were actually with me when I matched, and they were like, Bailey, just ask him on a date. He seems really cool. And he did. His conversation was great. He was very articulate. I was just like, okay, sure. So I messaged him and I said, hey, do you want to meet at this bar? It's an arcade bar that we have downtown here. And he's like, oh my God, I love that place. Yes, I would love to. Great. Okay, perfect. So then the next day is the date. And like an hour before the date, he texts me, he says, so what are the vibes? What are you wearing? Which I was kind of just like, I've never had a guy ask me that, especially on a date to a bar, but whatever. So I wore all black. And if you guys scroll all the way down to February, you'll see my, it was a first date TikTok where I used the first date sound from Blink-182. So you can see I looked good. Okay, I looked really, really good. And so I just said, oh, I'm wearing all black. I'm wearing a dress and a jacket and combat boots. Okay, cool. So buckle up, okay? Buckle up. So I get to the date. We meet in the parking lot. First thing he does is go, oh. And I'm just standing there all awkwardly. And he goes, you look like you're going to start a cult. Haha. So right off the bat, I didn't like him, but I drove all the way there and I'm going to get a free drink. So sounds good. So we are walking in and I was like, oh, I haven't been here since they changed locations. And he goes, oh yeah, it's pretty nice in there, except the bartender's a fuck. Strike 2. So then we're walking in and he is standing in front of me and he is like going like this behind him, but he's like going like this. And I go, what? And he's like, give me your ID. She's going to ask for it. Okay. I said, well, you could use your words. And he like giggled and I was being totally serious. So I handed my ID. We're waiting for our drinks. And I was like, what are you going to order? And he is like, oh, I don't really drink. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, we could have gone anywhere but a bar. And he's like, no, like I do sometimes. And I was like, okay. So we're still waiting. And he goes, yeah, I just used to be really big into pills. And I'm like, okay. This is all within the first 5 minutes, by the way.
So then we finally sit down and he immediately just starts talking, okay? And he's like, yeah, just so you're aware, like, I'm not really interested in marriage or anything like that. And I was like, okay. I was like, well, this is probably just not going to work because I'd like that to be an option for me someday. And he's like, well, like, I don't want to get married right now. And I'm like, I was not planning on walking down the aisle with you tonight. So, and he like giggled and I was being serious. And then he goes, yeah, you know, I make so much money, like a lot of money. And, you know, she's going to have to sign a prenup. And I just go, ew. And he's like, what? I was like, it's really fucked to say to somebody within 10 minutes of meeting them, but okay. So then he goes, yeah, and definitely no kids. Like, no kids. I'm not interested in kids. And I was like, yeah, once again, it's not going to work. By the way, I already knew this wasn't going to work. I didn't like him the second I met him, but I stayed for the plot. Anyway, he's like, yeah, absolutely no kids. And I was like, oh yeah, this isn't going to work because I'd like that to be an option for me too. And he goes, well, just not right now. And I was like, I wasn't planning on getting pregnant by you tonight either. So, and he just giggled again. And I'm just like, okay. Then he goes, yeah, the last time I went on a date here, which, red flag, why are you telling me about your last date you went on? I don't give a f. Anyway, the last date I went on here, you know, she got out of her car and she was like way fatter than I expected. Sir, I know you're not saying that to a fat person. Anyway, he said, yeah, she was way fatter than I expected. So I cut the date pretty short and then I blocked her on my way home. I just go, ew. And he's like, what? I was like, you're just kind of gross. And I swear to God, I was saying all this to him. I don't know if his kink was being like shot down, but like he literally was shot down this whole time. Okay, this is getting way too long. I'm gonna have to do a part 2. Welcome back to my dating horror story part 2. So at this point, I'm like done. I'm so done. And I texted my friends who happened to be at the bar right next to us and I said, you need to get me out of here. Like, I need to leave. This man is the worst man I've ever met in my life. So I told him, I said, hey, my friends are next door. They want to come over and chit chat. You cool with that? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine with that. What, do they want to like grill me? Do they want to grill me? Do they like want to ask me questions? And I was like, maybe, I don't know. Maybe. So my friends get there and he's like, oh, hey, like, did you want to like ask me questions? Like, did you guys want to grill me? And they're like, I mean, we can. So they did. Their first question was, what are your goals for the next 5 years? And he goes, I don't have any. I go, not one single goal. And he's like, well, I mean, I have lots of money. I have a nice house. I have a nice car. Him and I have the same car, by the way. Mine is just white. His was a burnt orange color, but we have the same car. And I promise you, it's not fancy. Anyway, and so I was icked out way hard by that, but okay. Then they asked like what his favorite kind of music is. And he says he likes like house music, like techno music, stuff like that. And I was like, oh, I don't really listen to a lot of that, but I have some saved like in my playlist. And I was like, my favorite person of all time is Stevie Nicks. And he goes, who's he? Excuse me? How do you... Anyway, so I was appalled by that. Then like he's got tattoos everywhere. He's tatted all over the place. And one of my friends was like, oh, I like your tattoos on your hand. And he was like, thanks. And then she saw like a scar and she's like, oh gosh, what's that from? He's like, oh yeah, you know, that's just from when I used to myself. Okay. Then they said, what's the worst thing you've ever done? And he's like, you know, that'd have to be when I had a whole drawn out plan on how I was going to schmurder my ex-girlfriend's ex-boyfriend with a sledgehammer. We all were just like, okay, what? Now let me say, this date has been 3-ish hours, he's gotten me 1 drink. Okay, but he's got all this money. He's gotten me 1 drink, and he has not asked me 1 question about myself. Not one. Not a single question. There were more questions that were asked, but I can't really think of them right now. We were talking about like where we live or whatever, and he was like, oh my God, I can't believe you live there. And I was like, weren't you raised here? And he's like, yeah, but I got out of there. Okay, where'd you go? He went 35 minutes away where pretentious ass lives. So, you know, good for you, buddy boy. So at this point, my friends are over it. They're like, okay, Bailey, we're gonna go. Like, we need to go. We'll meet you there. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll see you soon. So they walk out and he pays the tab of our 2 drinks because he only got me 1 drink this whole 3 hours. And as we're walking out, he like starts his car from inside the bar. And I was like, and it was cold out. And I was like, damn, I wish that I had gotten remote start in my car. And he goes, if you're broke, just say that. Excuse me? I am broke, but that's so rude. So at this point, I'm done. So we walk out to the parking lot and he gives me this awkward side hug thing. And he was a very skinny, short, tatted up man, which is like my bread and butter, baby. I love a skinny man. I don't know why. But my first reaction was to literally go, ooh, God, you are way too bony for me. And he was like, and I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work out. So I walk out to my car and he's like, well, have fun talking shit to your friends. And I was like, oh, I will. As soon as I got in my car, I went to the app because I wanted to screenshot a picture of him because I knew everybody was going to ask me what he looked like, and he had blocked me already. Blocked me for that one comment. Baby, you literally said to a fat person that you were disgusted in another fat person. I just had to call you out on your boniness. And then like 5 months later, I saw him on the Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook page in our surrounding area, and oh my God, the comments are hilarious. I'm fully aware that I shouldn't have stayed 3 hours, but like I said, I stayed for the plot because what in the f***? So yeah. Dating's going really, really well for me.
After watching all of these stories, I think what really stands out to me is not just how awkward dating can be, but how quickly people reveal who they truly are, and when you're not even paying attention. Well, when you are paying attention, I should say. The first dates are supposed to be light. You're supposed to feel like 2 people exploring whether there's a potential or not. It's not supposed to feel like a whole power struggle, if you get me. It's not supposed to feel that draining as what we have seen today, or even to the fact that you have to be defending yourself or shrinking yourself or even tolerating behavior just so that you can get through the night. And you know what? Something that I have noticed is that in almost every one of those stories that we saw earlier, the person telling the story gave grace at first. You know, they laughed it off, they brushed it aside, they said, you know, maybe he's nervous, maybe I'm overreacting. And that right there is where most of us live. Because yeah, I too am guilty of that, of giving people the benefit of the doubt where they don't deserve it. So we try to be polite, we try to be understanding, try not to leave too soon because we don't want to seem too dramatic. But you know, guys, here is the thing, you know, me always have something to say. There is a difference to me between being open-minded or just ignoring your intuition altogether. Probably it's a fine line, but there's a difference. There's a difference between awkwardness and, of course, disrespect. It is as far as the east is from the west. Awkward can be human. I mean, we're human beings. Humans have nerves. Awkward can be someone, you know, fumbling because they just genuinely like you. It makes them nervous. But disrespect, ego, control, testing your boundaries, making small comments just to see how much you'll really tolerate, they have the nerve. That is them whole character, if you should ask me. And as I said before, first dates are like audition. This is when you should get the best version of someone. And another thing that I kept thinking about while watching these stories earlier is how often people stay longer than they wanted to. 3 hours. In the case that the other girl, almost 5 days, an entire hockey game, an entire dinner. Now you guys get where I'm going with this. Not because they are really enjoying themselves, but because they feel obligated. And why are we normalizing something like that? Why we don't normalize just getting up and leave? Because you're an adult, you are allowed to leave. You can leave politely, of course. Nobody is holding you hostage. Because at the end of the day, you don't owe anybody any extended access to your time because they showed up. No ma'am, no sir. Well, Islanders, as I said, this was a very painful thing to watch. And if you have your own painful, awkward first date stories, then clearly you are not alone. And as per usual, I want you to drop your stories down below, because I know that at some point or another, we have all been there. We have all driven home, replaying that entire night in our head and asking ourselves, why didn't I leave any sooner? But the real question is, what is one red flag that you will never ignore again? Of course, sound off in the comments below. This is where we're going to wrap up with today's discussion. If you have enjoyed, you haven't yet liked, you haven't yet subscribed, please go ahead and do so now, because we would love to have you join the Islanders family. So of course, by hitting the subscribe button with a right down there. So as per usual, guys, if you want to continue to watch more fun, relatable edutainment discussions like these, you can go ahead and click the up next video with a right here so on your screen and enjoy the day away. Guys, thank you again so much for sticking with me until the end. My name is Jody and I aspire to inspire. Until next time, guys, walk good.